and I talked to Master Officer Aaron Moss with Community Outreach from Minot PD on how you could learn to fight crime. We start with that this week ahead. Hey everyone, thanks for joining me on This Week Ahead. Let's play a quick game. Finish this sentence. Bad boys, what you gonna do? Yeah, it's stuck in my head now too. Sorry about that. The famed theme song from the long-standing TV show Cops is a fixture in, TV and American history. The show was a hit almost immediately because it is juiced with excitement and provides a rush of adrenaline for viewers. It also gave people a view of the dramatic side of policing, but it's not the full reality of policing. Now, I'm no peace officer, but I know a handful of them, and most of them that I talk to will tell you that what you see on Cops doesn't really reflect the life of an officer. Not totally, right? Sure, there are times when there's a chase through a neighborhood, and sometimes guns may be drawn, but that's not policing, not in its entirety. Policing in Minot, anyway, in reality, is far more cerebral. There are layers that include problem solving, relationship building, watchdogging, and yes, sometimes some of that action. But don't take it from me. Check it out for yourself. Coming up in May is the Citizens Police Academy. It's a chance for you to get a crash course in the life of a peace officer. You'll see what patrolling is like, how to properly conduct a crime scene response and investigation. You can even get a glimpse of special ops like SWAT and proper use of force. There's a really neat 4-week program that we do. It starts this year, May 4th through the 25th. It's a great way to test to see if maybe a career in law enforcement is for you, or you can see what life on the other side of the badge is actually like. Or at the very least, you can fill in the blank of what true policing is. You know, the part that Cops, shows like that, actually leave behind. Applications are due April 23rd. Details on that can be found at minotnd.org/Citizens Academy. Now, if you're not sold by me, maybe we should bring in one of our uncaped crusaders to talk a little bit more about the benefits of the Citizens Academy and what it may have in store for you. Let me welcome our Community Outreach Officer, President of the local Peace Officer Union, an Air Force vet, and maybe a social media meme machine, Master Police Officer Aaron Moss. Hey, Aaron, welcome in.
Thank you, Derek. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah. So, Aaron, I made my pitch anyway for everyone to sign up to see what life in the blue is like in a 4-week hyper abbreviated training. I want you to do the same. But first, why don't you offer us, the reason why we have Citizens Academy, and then why should our community give it a go?
Well, here in the Magic City, I think it's fair to say that the police department has always had a pretty good working relationship with the public that we serve. Every community can point to a few hiccups here and there, but all in all, Minot has historically had a very good working relationship, and events like this really tend to bolster that relationship. So there's a less of a us versus them type of mentality when it comes to police service in a community like this. And I would say that when citizens from the community participate in events like this, they really get to see a behind the scenes look at what it is we do as a police department to serve the Magic City, and dispel some myths or learn something new, or have the opportunity to engage in some really in-depth conversation when it comes to learning about our role in society, as well as a procedure when it comes to doing our jobs.
Now, Aaron, when we get to the end of May and the 4 weeks has run its course, what do you really hope people take away from this?
That we have a very positive interaction, that they can walk away knowing that our police department here in Minot is truly here to serve the needs and safety of the community, and that we can't do that alone. We absolutely cannot do that alone. And really, as nobody would want a police department to try to handle that on their own. We want to show that we are certainly part of a bigger bigger aspect of the community, and that we are in this together.
So in the past, I know you participate on a portion of this. I mean, a lot of you are involved in this, but from your perspective, from the community outreach perspective, what do you think is maybe the most popular section of this 4-week program?
Well, canines are always exciting. During special operations time, people seem to really enjoy the dogs. And I think from what you were mentioning a little bit earlier with social media, there's kind of an ongoing joke in law enforcement. If you have nothing really going on and you're struggling for something to put on your social media, put up a picture of your dog. It's always very exciting, and always gets a lot of good
dogs and kids.
Dogs and kids. Absolutely. But I think well, dogs are always certainly popular at in the special operations presentation portion of the Citizens Academy. I think what's a little bit more broadly, people just really enjoy learning something that they didn't know from the various officers and instructors that come in to present in every aspect in all 4 sessions. And they've been, while they might have been excited to see something that's not always visible when they're tooling around town, but they get to learn something academically, and then as well as put it into physical practice, getting their hands dirty in the sessions themselves. We don't want to kill them with PowerPoint. We absolutely want people to participate and join in and get in the trenches, so to speak, and while they're do while they're learning.
Yeah, this isn't a classroom setting. You actually go out and you do the things that you guys would typically do in certain scenarios on a day-to-day. Now, you narrow this down to about 4 parts. And you don't want to make a year long. You can do a Citizens Academy, probably that takes a whole year, but you really focus in on that month long. You narrow it down.
Right.
What do you think is the most maybe unexpected reaction from those that take part in this? What do you think, what myths do you think you bust about policing when you do this with the participants?
I think I've seen some of that type of reaction come back when we discuss. It's usually during the fourth session, the fourth and final session, when we talk about use of force as well as deadly force, and how very, very structured that really is. I mean, I think there's a little bit of a misconception in our society where law enforcement just gets to kind of make up the rules as they go, or that they're found to just be able to declare just a blanket statement of fear, and therefore any use of force is automatically considered reasonable. And I don't want to turn this into any kind of like socio-political argument, but we do share all the different statutory requirements, as well as procedural requirements, as well as the investigative requirements after the fact should a use of force situation occur. And then instead of just showing the participants on an academic basis how these things work, we actually take them into a use of force scenario using what are called simunitions. And it's a specialized type of firearm that it shoots these soap rounds that if a person is struck with them, it stings a little bit, but they're not at risk of serious bodily injury or death. And we put them through what are called shoot, no shoot situations, where they have to make a decision on the fly, not knowing the eventual outcome, like you would see in a video, for example, that's shared on social media or in traditional media, with journalistic reporting, where things unfold rapidly, and we show them how even they might get something a little bit wrong in their initial estimation, that there's still room for reasonableness in interpretation of the use of force, just like the statutes require, and just like the case law requires, and just like procedure requires within the department. So I think that's been very eye-opening for a lot of our participants, as well as also there's some eye-opening aspects of our capabilities when it comes to like crime scene response, when we have them help process crime scenes or do parts of or simulate crime scenes or parts of collecting certain physical evidence, and then what it is we are capable of locally and what we have to rely on the state as well as outside laboratories to assist us with. So I think there's always something new to learn in every session, but I think those 2 areas tend to have shown some real excitement in response.
Yeah. So last year you showed me sort of one of the scenarios that you talked about with use of force specifically, and I thought it was quite enlightening for me. I mean, I work closely with a lot of police officers in what I do, so I'm probably a little bit more maybe knowledgeable is a strong word, but I'm a little bit more aware of some of the nuances of the job than others are.
More close to it. Yeah.
But that scenario you shared with me was enlightening, especially given the social conversation at the time about
Sure.
use of force, your profession has a spotlight on it. And this really put into some necessary perspective of the snap decision making and how a reaction or a delayed reaction could be detrimental. So if anybody takes anything away from this, I would encourage people to sign up just for that fourth phase, that use of force, for a self-education purpose. I found it so enlightening. It's something that I would love for us to do maybe outwardly in the future. So that's kind of my soapbox plea for people to try to be a part of this Citizens Academy. So that begs my next question. If I sign up for this, Aaron, will you give me a gun?
Well, not to keep. So,
okay.
Part of the use of force training, we also do a familiarization with our department firearms, and participants are invited to actually fire our sidearms as well as our patrol rifles to get just a familiarization. We don't put them through a qualification course, for example, but we do say, these are the weapons we use. This is the capabilities that our officers have when we're out there. We open the doors. I mean, throw back the curtain, so to speak. And it's, we want people to be aware that we are as transparent as we possibly can within the legal parameters required by Century Code as well as by federal requirements. And this really invites folks in. We're not going to be obviously disclosing anything from ongoing investigations, but we're showing that we serve the public and we are members of the public. Therefore, we're not hiding anything. So, yeah, weapons are part of that, and to the extent that the participant is comfortable, they're welcome to participate and shoot off a few rounds. And I know a few in the past have kept their targets as souvenirs, and we welcome that.
And of course, you don't just allow absolutely everybody. There is an application process.
Correct.
There's some background check. There's some safety measures that we do put in place.
Certainly, we do have to have a bit of a background check because we are putting firearms in people's hands. We have to make sure that we're not creating a crime. If a person has like a felony conviction and they're still prohibited from carrying a firearm, unfortunately, they wouldn't be able to participate in this. But we do encourage people who have maybe a little bit of a negative run-in or two in the past, and granted that it's in the past, with law enforcement, to go ahead and apply. That we don't want every little bump in the road in a person's life to define the rest of their existence. I think all of us and everybody in this department and everybody we know can raise their hand if I ask the question, said, hey, is there something in your life you're not proud of? And everyone's going to say yes. And then, do you want that to define the rest of your life, who you are? Well, of course not. We're all better than our worst moments in our life. And so if somebody's had a few bumps in the road or hiccups with law enforcement in the past, that doesn't preclude them from participating in this. And I think many people who've had some of those experiences, who've participated, actually have come away from the experience a lot more informed and a lot more knowledgeable. And and that's another reason that we like to host this type of an event, because the time to learn about law enforcement procedure is not when the red and blue lights come on behind you while you're tooling down the highway, or when there's that knock on the door late at night, early in the morning, and an investigation is underway. That is not the time to try to establish a relationship, because it's already adversarial at that point, just based upon the way our investigative system, our judicial system pans out. So when we can do these types of events in a non-confrontational, inviting environment where conversation is encouraged and questions are encouraged, not discouraged, like they might be on the scene in the midst of an investigation, we found that this is very, very beneficial to members of the public who had no experience with law enforcement, who have had some experience with law enforcement, even members who've had some very negative experiences with law enforcement in the past. But all comers take something away from this, and not just that, the officers involved, the employees involved really do get to enjoy themselves and having that positive interaction. There's a lot less confrontation, and it's very, very, even if there's some differing of opinions, we got some very good interactions here, and we get to a state of understanding that is very difficult to achieve on the street on patrol, on duty.
Aaron, is there anything else you'd like to add before I let you go?
Sure. We just encourage anybody that's interested to apply. Go to the website that you described, or they can give me a call at my desk, 701-857-4711. If I'm not there, I get the messages throughout the day, and I'll call you back as soon as possible. If you have any other questions about the program, feel free to give me a call. It is, we did say it's a 4-week program. It's actually going to be Tuesday evenings in May. May 4th through the 25th. So it's a 3-hour commitment on Tuesday evenings over 4 weeks. So it's not 4 full weeks. And so we're excited to be able to show this in digestible bite-sized chunks.
All right. Thank you very much. That's Master Officer Aaron Moss with our Minot Police Department. You can apply for the Citizens Academy by visiting minotnd.org/Citizens Academy. The deadline for application is April 23rd. And Aaron, I got to say, I love this idea. I kind of want to do it across all of our departments, but I don't think a Citizen Academy for governmental accounting will have the same kind of draw that it would with our police department.
Well, the numbers are always interesting because without them, we don't exist. So there's certainly a public benefit to that as well.
Yeah, that's called pandering, folks. Aaron Moss is pandering to the finance department. All right, thanks, Aaron. I will let you go. I appreciate that. Now, coming up this week ahead, we have a short week due to a holiday. Good Friday is coming up this week, and that means city offices will be closed, as will many services. City Transit will run its regular schedule on Friday. However, there will be no residential garbage collection on Friday. The next pickup day for residents with Tuesday, Friday garbage collection will be Tuesday, April 6th. The landfill will be open 8 to noon on Friday and from 8 to 4 on Saturday, which is the 3rd of April. The Minot Public Library will be closed on Friday. And for water emergency services, you'll want to dial that number. It's a 701-852-0111. Everything will be back open and running on the regular hours on Monday, April 5th. And as this week comes back to us, the vaccines for COVID-19 open up to many of us. In fact, they are now open to any and all that want it from the ages 16 and older, regardless of employment status. Here's the thing, though. Parents, if you're looking to get your teenager vaccinated, the 16 and 17-year-olds, you can't just use the app through First District. You'll need to call First District Health to schedule that appointment for your dependent. That number is 852-1376. The reason why is due to the vaccine that is approved for those under 18. First District has 3 vaccines, Johnson & Johnson, Moderna, and Pfizer vaccines, but only that Pfizer vaccine is approved for 16 and up. The rest are reserved for 18 and older. To date, over a third of the state's population has actually had the first dose. We continue to see that climb for inoculation towards that 70% goal rate for the state of North Dakota. Pretty similar for our region here. Now, these vaccines continue to prove to be effective and safe, but be sure to talk with your doctor about this vaccine if you're nervous about it. Do not take it from me. Do not take it from your uncle posting links on social media or anyone else. Speak to your physician about the vaccination. You can make your appointments through your primary care provider, or again, you can do that through First District Health Unit at fdhu.org. Meanwhile, if you're feeling under the weather, we do still have COVID rapid testing 3 days a week at Fire Station number 1. That is Mondays, 8 to 2, Tuesdays, 2 to 7, and Saturdays, 10 to 2. You will want to pre-register before you come. That's testreg.nd.gov. Okay, I promised last week I'd answer a few of your questions with the mailbag. This one is from Pat Townley. What are the plans for flood protection in Northeast Minot, specifically along Railway Avenue? Thanks for the question, Pat. And here's the thing, specifically for Railway Avenue in Northeast Minot, we will soon be moving that Railway Avenue about a lane north, and a flood wall will be erected for much of that stretch. There will also be some earthen levees to help with water retention on that portion of the project as well. That is MI5. We are planning to bid a portion of it this summer or maybe this fall east of 13th Street, and that's sort of dependent on funding. This project was queued to happen a little bit sooner than this, but some very late changes required by the railroad put it back a bit and required some redesign and additional property acquisitions. This project is MI5 tieback levee, and this portion is very important. It's actually a key to protecting North Minot from east to west of city limits, protecting about 60% of the valley in Minot from floodwater. Okay, our next question. I actually ripped this one from a Facebook post that we posted, and we had a comment on it. The question, are we ever going to make the signal lights at 6th Street and 11th Avenue permanent? The question is in regards to the intersection on Southwest Minot by Jim Hill. And the simple answer is maybe. Okay. maybe I'll go with the complicated answer on this one. That intersection is on what is the North Dakota Department of Transportation system. It's known as a minor arterial. That means it needs to meet certain standards for any changes like a signal intersection or protected intersection. That intersection is one of many that we are looking at right now in that area to improve pedestrian safety. Our engineering department is doing all the required analysis of traffic volume to designate something known as traffic warrants for intersections like this. But first, they need to collect the data and, cross all their T's and dot all their I's, which they're starting to get to now. So again, to answer the question specifically, maybe. Finally, I hawked this last question from Facebook, this time not from our page, but it was a community conversation piece that I felt warranted to specifically call out. It's, why do we have to rent our trash cans? The answer to this one is quick. You don't. But let me dive deeper into this very common misunderstanding. Your monthly service bill for your city sanitation service isn't a rent for a sanitation cart. It's a bill for service. Sanitation is what's known as an enterprise fund. It isn't paid for by property taxes. Instead, it's paid for by the use of service or your monthly bill that you see for your sanitation or your water bill. A bill is the single service charge for twice a week curbside collection that includes your compost sites across the city, 2 cleanup weeks throughout the year, and all the other things that we do as far as sanitation. I think where the confusion lies with the cost difference between the cost difference between the can sizes. A typical standard 65-gallon can generates a service charge of $16.22 a month. The smaller one is about $1.50 less at $14.72, larger, $1.50 more, $17.72. The difference isn't the cost of any rental or anything like that of the collection cart. It is the perceived or presumed cost of the volume of trash that will be collected. That difference is about increased or decreased waste being collected at that house, not the difference in cost of the cart. I hope that actually helps. Now, if you have any questions that you want specifically answered, send them my way. Submit those questions at minotnd.org/mailbag. I'll do that. I'll get to those as quickly as I can. And that'll do it for me on This Week Ahead. Next week, I plan to have the mayor and city manager join me for an extended update on everything happening at the legislature and how that actually impacts our community here in Minot. Meanwhile, do me a solid and take our communication survey at minotnd.org/minotpio. Tell me how to do my job. Tell me the best way to get information to you about your city. I'd really, really love the help. Again, minotnd.org/minotpio. And of course, a plea to follow us on social media. You can find us on all your favorite social media platforms at City of Minot. And if you need a little bit more information from your city, sign up for our other newsletter. It's The Latest, minotnd.org/the latest. And if you listen to this as a podcast, our audio version, please download and rate us. I'd really appreciate that you doing that on your platform of choice. If you want to check out the podcast, it's minotnd.org/podcast. Now, thanks for joining me once again on this Sunday, and please enjoy This Week Ahead.